In today's podcast, I want to talk about alternative education. I spent well over 20 grand this year alone on alternative education, and I define alternative education, coaching, courses, masterminds, consulting, etc. And I actually find it funny that this topic can be controversial. And in my experience, the people who typically find it controversial are those not on the same path as me, or maybe even a lot of them make less money. But I digress. I want to talk about why I think it's important, how it's benefited me, and the specific returns that I've gotten from it. Who am I? My name is Ryan Rice. I'm a full-time real estate investor. In January of 25, I will hit 4 years full-time. And this past year, I will exceed 1.1 million in gross income in my real estate business. I share all of this with the hopes that it can make you some more money in your real estate business. The bulk of that $20,000 plus that I've spent this year has come from one coach. And I hired someone to help give me some direction with my direct seller real estate business. And so let me give you some context around my business. Last year, I did just over $625,000 in gross income. And this year, I should do a little under 1.2. We'll kind of see how things shake out. But that is almost a 90% increase year over year. The business essentially doubled. And it's more than 500,000 over the previous year. And what's not included in those figures is everything that I've learned that I'm going to continue to carry forward with me that will continue to grow the business. Of course, those returns are not currently quantified. But I was able to get those outcomes for about $15,000 in spend. Now, would my business still have grown without the $15,000 spend, without the coach? Probably. Would it have grown by more than $500,000? Probably not. And even if only half of that was attributable to the coaching, that's still an 18-to-1 return on that expense. And of course, all the haters will say, but not all of that 550 was profit. And okay, so even if it was half of the 550, and even at my current profit margins, it's still a 9-to-1 return. And that's probably worst case scenario. Now, a quick note on that. Is it possible that my business could have gotten to 1.2 in gross revenue or gross income without coaching? And I would say, yes, it's possible. If I kept doing this for another 5, 6, 7 years, or however long it would take, I probably would continue to grow the business. But what I'm paying for is time. The coach is saving me a drastic amount of time because I'm able to take everything that he has learned and apply it to my business in an instant. I'm able to pay for all of the hardships, all of the scars that he has gotten, and use that now. And so that is the argument of alternative education. You're going to pay for the education with you're going to pay for the alternative education regardless. It's just a matter, do you want to pay with time or do you want to pay with money? And for me, I've chosen to pay with money because I can drastically increase the speed at which I learn something. I want to give a couple of other very small examples of how I've paid for alternative education this year. Earlier this year, I couldn't figure out how to create a quality video in short form content. I bought a DSLR, a very nice camera, and I couldn't quite figure out how to correctly connect it to my computer and all that digital media stuff. I did a little research, but I wasn't finding the results that I wanted quickly enough. And so I got annoyed. And so I instead started to research a person who would know how to do it. And I ended up paying $250 for 30 minutes of someone's time. And they literally solved the problem in an instant. They actually solved it within the first 10 minutes of the call. And then we had 20 minutes to talk about other things, which was very helpful. And I think a lot of people might think, you paid $250 for 30 minutes of someone's time? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. If that's all that person did, they would be a millionaire. But one, it's not actually that much in the world of consulting and education. As you get into that business, $250 is literally nothing. But two, I got so much time back because I didn't need to go research and find the answer myself. I paid for it and I got it instantly. And because I did, I also got access to that individual. We built a relationship. And because I paid her money, we corresponded a few additional times on a few other things. And so many times with alternative education, you have the raw cost of the education, the time for consulting, the money spent on the course, but the return that you get that is above and beyond anything monetary is the access to the network or the individual. You have made a deposit into that person's relationship or network or world, and therefore you are going to have access to that relationship, network, or world going forward that is only going to keep netting you additional returns. The last example that I'll give, and I'm going to give an example that didn't happen this year. It happened my first year full-time back in 2021, full-time in real estate. And I paid just under $14,000 for a course to learn how to flip houses using other people's money. And I went all in with that course. And in fact, when I say all in, like I went hard. I did everything that the coach taught by the book with an insane amount of volume. So much volume, in fact, that I set a record. Out of thousands of students that have taken that course and are in that community, I set the record for most homes bought in a 12-month period. I bought 23. And I started from zero. I had one house that I previously bought, but I acquired it through a friend. And, I went through this course and I bought 23 in 12 months. And now I have flipped well over 50 houses, have made well over hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars from those flips, all from a course that costed me just under 14 grand. Not too bad of a return. And above the monetary returns that I've received, I also have access to that network. Now I'm involved in that community where I get the ability to coach students every single week, which helps me work on my presentation skills, on my coaching skills. I regularly speak with the owner of that mastermind, of that community, who is a very impressive individual himself, has made millions and millions of dollars in the real estate world. And I get all of that because of the investment that I made. And so, again, when you pay for alternative education, you get the immediate monetary returns, but what is not quantifiable sometimes is, for me, what has been even more valuable. The relationship that I built with the owner of that mastermind is incredibly valuable. There were challenges that I incurred in my business further on in my career, and we were able to have discussions about that. Now we talk about business. And a lot of people don't think about those types of returns that you can get from that type of investment. I am a big believer that rich people buy time and poor people buy stuff. And with today's access to information, which is only getting easier, your ability to do anything you want is literally at your fingertips. And the thing is, when you buy the education or the coaching, you have to go all in, like we talked about. You have to strive to be the best possible student that exists in that particular course or that particular network or mastermind. And you take so much action that even if for some reason you pay for a course that's terrible, your returns still exceed the cost of the course because you've taken so much action, right? So these are all of the reasons why I will continue to pay tens of thousands of dollars per year to learn new skills. And as I progress in my career, last year was my first year earning 7 figures as an entrepreneur. And as I earn more and more, I'm sure the amount that I spend on that education is going to get more and more. And I intend to continue to do that. And if there is one thing that I could look back and tell my 20-year-old self, it would be to stop buying shit. Stop buying nice cars, expensive clothes, weekends with the boys, and buy time. Pay for skills. So if you are listening to this and there is something out there that you want, if you look hard enough, there will be someone who has what it is that you want, and you can pay that person to teach you how to get it. And you could certainly learn yourself. You could go through the trial and error. You could pay with time. But if you want something and you want it a little bit more quickly, then you can pay with money. And that's what alternative education is. It condenses the amount of time that it takes to get a certain outcome, to learn a new skill. And I know those of you that have listened to this podcast for a while, you know, but if you are new to this podcast, and this is one of the first few or even the first episodes that you've listened to, I have nothing to sell you. I don't have a course. I'm not making this podcast episode to try and sell you on education for some internal benefit. I don't have any course or education to sell you. This is just how much alternative education has helped me, and I want to pass on the benefits that I have seen to you. All the love to you guys. I appreciate you guys listening. I hope that was helpful. Go buy some time. I promise you it'll be worth it. It'll make you some money, and beyond the money, the unquantifiable returns that you get from the investment in alternative education is where the true returns lie. I love you guys, appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.